Every year on Lag BaOmer, my community gathers together in a park to celebrate the yahrzeit of Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, with a cookout, hamburgers and hot dogs, cotton candy, the works. Some years I think there's also snow cones, but not every year, it's not a guarantee. And everyone has a lot of fun. But me personally, large gatherings kind of stress me out. Being around a lot of people for an extended period of time, it's exhausting. Certainly doesn't make me feel holy. Not like Rashbi. So I started thinking, maybe there's a different way to connect to this day. Something more direct.
According to the Talmud, Rashbi had to flee Roman persecution, and he spent 13 years hiding in a cave with his son, buried up to their necks in sand to preserve their clothes, and eating nothing but carob and drinking miraculous spring water. According to some sources, it was during this specific time that he composed the teachings that would become the Zohar, the central work of Kabbalah. And that felt like something that I could test. Realistically, 13 years would be too long for me to spend on this experiment, so I gave it 2 hours. I calculated that 2 hours is about 0.0018% of 13 years. So if holiness is scalable, which I assume it is, I should walk away with 0.0018% of the Rashbi experience. Based on the estimated word count of the Zohar, that should be enough to completely master the first 17 words. I wanted to recreate the conditions of the cave as accurately as possible, but I had to make a few modifications. Carob pods are hard to find, and also they're gross, so I used carob chips. I couldn't get to a spring, but bottled spring water was readily available at my local grocery store. I didn't want to fill my house with sand, so I used sand-filled weighted blankets. And instead of a cave, I used a large cardboard box. I printed out the opening lines of the Zohar, assembled an extra long straw for my spring water, and I was ready to go. I know I made significant changes to my setup as compared to Rashbi's cave experience, but the Talmud is meant to be lived by and applied to our lives in any time and place. So I trusted that my modifications wouldn't negatively impact the spiritual efficacy of my experiment. Once I was inside my cave and settled in, I started reading the first 17 words of the Zohar. Rabbi Cheskia began and said, "It is written, as a rose among the thorns, so is my beloved amongst the daughters." Who is the rose? This refers to Knesset Yisrael, the community of Israel. For there is one level of a rose, and there is another level of a rose. As is the case with most of the Zohar, these words were cryptic to me. I understood the words themselves, that were comparing the Jewish community to a rose for some reason, but I didn't understand why that was important. I decided it was time for a carob break. In addition to the text of the first 17 words of the Zohar, I also brought with me a Hasidic discourse on those words from the Alter Rebbe, the founder of the Chabad movement. The Alter Rebbe explains that this rose, Knesset Yisrael, is Malchus of Atzilus, which I liked. I still didn't understand it, but I felt like I could understand it. Instead of being about a community of people, this was about a piece of Kabbalistic structural hierarchy that I might be able to wrap my head around, given enough time and carob chips. But maybe that was my problem. I started thinking about life outside my cardboard carob cave. The Talmud hints that the Romans may have tortured Rashbi's wife to get his location while he was in hiding. And I thought about my own wife. She wasn't being tortured by Romans, but she was stuck doing math homework with our daughter while I was sequestered in my cardboard cave eating carob chips in the name of spiritual science.
Mommy, can you help me with my math homework? Tazi's busy working.
Eventually, the 2 hours were up, and it was time for me to emerge to see if I felt 0.0018% different. When Rashbi and his son came out of the cave, his son burned everything he saw with his eyes, but Rashbi healed it. After my experience, I should be capable of 0.0018% of one of those. Is my gaze now 0.0018% more removed, more destructive, or 0.0018% more equipped to interact with the world around me? I couldn't tell which one it was. But maybe the problem was that I was still alone. The only way to know how this experience really changed me would be by venturing out of my own isolated space and going out into the real world.